Okay. Alright, first ASMR time. Let's see if I get the same error message. I got some strange one saying something about the stream key. I changed my password, so it might be that. We'll see. Hopefully it's but it's not. Am I live? Oh no. Hey, how's it going? It's very strange. I'm very confused at the moment. Okay. Now I see my stream. At least. Odd. It was a bunch of error messages and stuff, so I wasn't sure really if it was working or not. Hey Amir, Atski Gria. That's good. That's good. So I think I'll add some colors today. I think that'll be it for the sorcerer on the stream. Friday I think I will do some more on the this is my second hero card. I think that'll be good. Hey Dame Deviant, how's it going? Zeolin. Good morning. Phone. Sorcery. Hey DB. How many of you remember this guy? From what's it called? The Sword and the Kettle? Black Kettle? What is it called in English? It's not going good, Dave Deviant. Oh shit. Practice. Hey Narada, how's it going? More fire. More fire. More fire. Boop, boop. Hey Iglesias and Miguel, how's it going? Anyways, let's start. Eric, that's so strange. But I think that's why also for a lot of people. Oh, 1 second. I I need to do this just so I don't accidentally show anything. Better be safe than sorry. Yeah, some days you just can't do it right. Hey Kirill, how's it going? One Amir, yeah, exactly. The starting soon screen for sure. Hey Georg, 10 months. Oh my god! Awesome, nice to have you here, Georg. Welcome back. I'm gonna be coloring. I think it's a fun thing to do, even though this character is in my mind it's not gonna have a lot of color, unfortunately, but it can't be all white, so I'm gonna try to incorporate a little bit of difference in tone, so there's at least some rhythm to the design. Hey Captain Boss, how's it going? Eric, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of really nice entries so far, and I'm deliberately staying quiet in terms of comments when it comes to Unreal Bjornament, because I don't want to be biased in that sense, you know. By saying that someone's entry is good. I really try to refrain from making those kind of comments, even though there is some really, really good ones so far. What I love about Unreal Bjornament every round is that the level goes up, and it's so cool to see. Like the you know, the only the strong survives in that sense, and it's so fascinating to see the level every time, and because also people realize the level that they need to be at, so they automatically step the game up, you know, and also because they spend a lot of time working on round one or the previous round, and then they learn some of the mistakes they do. So then in return they go like, okay, next round I'm gonna do X, Y, Z, and also they get feedback from the judges, which usually makes you see your flaws on the first one or the previous one a lot better. So you'll automatically become better if you like fully analyze the feedback and what you did wrong and what you could do better and so on. And I love seeing that. It's so fascinating. Hey there, Shoe Thief, how's it going? Oh yeah, I mean, starting off straight out of the gate, it was an insane amount of like the level of art was really good. And much like last year, there's a lot of people having issues of being able to visualize the music. It is a little bit trickier, but that's why, like last year and this year, I have text with it, so you can look at, you can read the text and make something out of it. But personally, I love the idea of a song theme. You know, like like you listen to the song and paint what you get out of it. DB. That's great. I think that is the beauty of stepping up. Like it's great to do studies. It's great to do things at your own pace, and let information stew in your mind and so on. But there's a completely different thing when there's a deadline. You're competing against someone else, and you're pushing and making the best decisions you can do with the time you have to deal with. And there's a certain pressure there which makes really good results. Aski. Iglesias, yeah, I mean, some people have a easy time to figure out with the music. I mean, it's much like it's about how your brain is geared. Some people have a hard time visualizing, for example, music. Some people have it easier to visualize music. It's all down to how your brain operates. So just to make it a little bit fair, that's why I added the text as well. You know. Hey Eric Moya, how's it going? Welcome back. What up? Eric, yeah, exactly. It's really easy to try too much, and that's what I've kind of tried to tell people, that like an impressive idea made half-assed is just that, you know. And then if someone would do a simple idea or not overly complicated, I mean, I don't want to say a simple idea because that kind of tonates to make it just, you know, bad. But a doable idea that's still complicated, you know, there's not too many moving parts, so it's actually doable to complete. Some screaming inside. That this is just one character, right? Standing. You can do it really bad or really good, but it's still just a character, right? So, and there's lots of things that can go wrong when you just have one character. But then, if you make an illustration, you know, there's more than just a character, right? But you can have a simple idea or a very advanced idea. Both can be realized within the time limit. It's just down to your capabilities and pulling out, you know, like pulling it off, rather. That's how you say it in English. Pulling it off with the time you have. And it's easy to overshoot and try too much because, you know, it's competition and you need to impress. But doing, for example, for my example of this character, doing one character really well, like some of you did, and you won, versus a little bit more advanced idea and halfway executed, and some of those people lost, you know. Hey Leo Sartorelli, if there's going to be any new openings for the Unreal Bjorn, no, that's next one is next year, because these Unreal Bjorn, they last around 4 or 5 months, so it's going to be a long journey, and we can't keep adding people. Then then the art competition will be forever. But what usually happens is the Unreal Bjorn starts at the beginning of each year. The sign-up period is like a month, so people can join in and, you know, prepare. Gria, yeah, exactly. And that's why, as an example, if you do too much, one of the reasons why I say don't do too much, because much like Gria talked about, like, will I be able to do it with my skill set? That is exactly that. Like, would you be able to pull all those moving parts off with the skill set you have? If yes, then, you know, go for it. That's great. But the risk is always that you're going to struggle with each thing, right? Each complicated moving part, rather than making it easy. So that the statistics of having it easier when you have less moving parts is that you're gonna most likely be able to pull it off with more ease. And just like, let's say, let's take I've made this example before, but let's say a portrait. A portrait done really well, you know, just a face. It's just a face. It can win, you know, or a scene with four or five people fighting can also win. But you know, it depends on the level of completion and what your opponent have done and so on, you know. Leo Sartorelli, sure. Like, for me, on this stream we do Study Monday, where I try to find references that'll aid the things I want to learn. Obviously, is the way to go about it, right? You want to learn what you need to, you know, what you're interested in. But one thing that I do, which I think is really important, is focusing in on what you're studying. And by that I mean, don't copy the reference. Understand it and analyze it. And when you do that, like, understand what you're drawing, the freedom of incorporating that into your imagination is almost instant. The feedback is almost instant. As an example, like if you study fire, you need to learn about the fire, like at what intensity of fire changes the color, and so on and so on. And so it's not just you just copy pixels and put them from the reference in the same spot as on your canvas. You know, that you will never learn what fire is until you start, like, looking at fire, understanding fire, and then applying it. So a lot of things, for example, how I learn anatomy is no, that was wrong. Is I draw from imagination, like a body. I try my best to fill all the gaps, like what I can't. so I try my best to make it as correct as possible, and then I look at the result and go, okay, the knees are messed up, for example, like they are the biggest weakness. They are where this I struggled most, and we come back to that, like in terms of the Unreal Bjorn, like don't if you have too many moving parts, you're going to struggle executing them, and so you look at the thing that you failed the most in terms of anatomy, like, okay, this is the part where I struggled the most, like that's what held me back from just being fully creative. So you go and study that, you go and learn it and understand it, and figure out what it actually does, like what does knees do and how does it attach to the thigh and thigh bone or femur or whatever, and then when you learn it, you do again from imagination, and then you'll instantly notice. Let's say I failed at knees, and you've studied at knees, and then you draw again from imagination. You will instantly reference from your mind information that you didn't have the first time around. Like, oh yeah, like this is like the study I did, right? And you repeat that, and eventually you know the human anatomy quite well. And then you let's say I mentioned fire. Draw fire from imagination. Like what's in your mind of how do you represent fire? And you draw fire, and then you go, I'm not getting the colors right, or the intensity of the flame doesn't come across as I want it, or whatever, and you notice a gap in your knowledge. So you go and study, you learn it, and figure out how fire actually works, and then again you go back to painting it. And there's a huge issue, for example, with photo bashing. If you have a photo bashing technique, or any shortcut that you do, where you get the good result over and over because you're using references from reality, like as a actual tool, like you put the photo of fire, and then you paint and change and whatever, but you're using already the information that's there in a way to support your vision, and it's nothing wrong with that per se. But what I have a problem with is those artists usually struggle when they don't have access to photos. When you go paint fire, then they go, okay, and they're instantly having to like rack their brain about how do I go about doing that. Eric Ricky, this sorcerer, yeah, she's a little bit freaky. I'm not sure I would let her heal me either. Let's give her blue eyes because she's friendly. Hey Dea. Hey Mila, how's it going? All right, Queen Mila has arrived. Atsuki, you think about mint? Few art. Yeah, but exactly. I mean, that's also a part of the point I was trying to make. Like, but when you do understand how fire works, for example, and you photo bash, it's easy. You get the result faster because you know what you're looking for. You know the moves you need to make to get to the point where you need to go. And you know, that's great. So photo bashing in itself, the technique is fine. It's absolutely valid. All power to the people that do photo bashing, but they have to, you have to also be aware of the dangers, right? of taking those shortcuts, and that's the whole saying, know to walk before you run. And there's always people using, for example, photo bashing. There will be a point where they will be very like subject savvy, but anything outside of that they will struggle because they don't have the like general understanding. That's why, for example, when I do studies, we're back to the topic of studies, I go back to basics a lot. I dive into color theory. I did that season 2 or early season 3. No, season 2, beginning of season 2. I went into back to color theory and gamut masks, and was playing around with gamut masks, and that helped me a lot. I still go back to those studies where I reverse engineered gamut masks. When I do these kind of things, I go like, okay, what's in my mind, I kind of see the gamut mask of how far can I take each color. Leo Sartorelli. Well, that's the thing with studies versus imaginative work, where a lot of people fail. It sounds like I have the answer, but a lot of people fail at being creative using their imagination because they are not in implicit mind state. And the implicit mind state is the autopilot, where we are operating. Like I do the reference of a basketball player playing a game, like a match, right? A versus match. He doesn't, or she doesn't need to think about the moves, right? Is in the zone, is playing the game, trying to win, trying to make a point. No point is like, yeah, that's the flick of the wrist I need to do. Yeah, let's switch hands. That's if he does that, he'll lose instantly, or she. It has to be autopilot at that stage. Like for me now, painting while talking is constantly removing me from my implicit mind state. But I've done it so much that I can kind of cope with it, right? But when I'm not talking, I'm not doing a stream, I'm painting, it goes much faster, much cleaner. I get a lot more done because now I'm explaining, I'm gesticulating, gesturing, I guess it's called as well. Yeah, but what studies do is they should take you to the explicit mind state, conscious recall. You should analyze, you should add information, you should constantly think of what you're doing. How am I making this brush stroke? Why am I choosing this color? What angle should I make the move? And constantly you have to question what you're doing when you're doing a study. Because the fact, when you do that enough, you analyze and you understand, so that you can go into implicit mind state when you're doing imaginary work or just painting. Because what you're doing in the implicit mind state is that you're using all that information that you're doing in autopilot. And as soon as you stumble onto something that you struggle with, you're removed from the implicit mind state to the explicit mind state, where you're having to do conscious recall, where, again, the analogy of the basketball player, you're thinking about the dribbling, and you're thinking about the flick of the wrist, if it's correct or not, or foot placement, and you're not in the sweet spot, in the zone. And that's why if you break everything down and understand it, and when you're studying, you're in an explicit mind state where you're actually like ramming shit in there, and then your implicit mind state where you're just creative and creating, you're using all that information that's in there, but you're not consciously going in, grabbing it and removing it and applying it, because then you're not in the zone anymore. And that's why, for example, basketball players do drills over and over and over and over again until they vomit, you know, is so that when they do play a game, it's in the backbone. And that's what we also have to do, as I see it. Eric Ricky, well, it depends, like, about photo bashing. Photo bashing is a tool. I could easily have done this with photos, but my understanding of it would still be based on the studies, right? Not about the application of the paint. So it's a flawed argument that photo bashing doesn't makes you a worse artist. It's because photo bashing, you need to separate the procedure from the study, right? So you study the thing that you want to understand, and then the result is photo bashing or painting or line art. It doesn't matter. You still need to understand it. Yeah, and you can also learn by seeing how, for example, the photo is, you know, like, oh wow, the fire is very purple, and then you go, oh, you can use purple in fire. I didn't know that. And in a way, you can do studies of reality by photo bashing. So I know a lot of people shit on photo bashing, but they shouldn't. They shouldn't. It's absolutely a completely 100% valid technique, and it's nothing wrong with it. 1 second. I need to go look at what that sound is. It sounds like a fire truck. It wasn't a fire truck. It was a sewage truck pumping the sewage. But nevertheless, it was a big truck, so I was right. I win. Eric, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And being a purist, let's say, like I am, I love painting, right? I love doing brush marks and all these things. And luckily I'm fast, but there is artists out there who are not fast, who are purists. And at that point, it actually works against them. And sometimes, you know, people can lose their jobs when they take too long, you know. And it's important to in that instance to understand what you're doing traditionally, or the purest way of, oh, I don't photo bash, I paint, so that you can do it faster, so that you can get the results where it needs to go within an acceptable time frame. And that is practice. And in certain terms, it's about like, you also need to practice speed, because it's production art. It's not fine art. You can't spend a year on a painting, unless you are a crypt crawler. He spends what, half a year on a painting? Fucking insane. But then again, his artwork is insane. But still, in that instance of the slow purist artist, might need to do some photo bashing, or photo bashing-esque techniques to speed up. Leo Sartorelli, I don't stand to draw. I'm sitting quite straight though. Leo Sartorelli, that's good. I sit on a kitchen chair, a wooden one, so I don't slouch. So I have also arranged the table, so I'm always with my spine straight, so I can sit and draw. I never sit like this. Nereda, yeah, that would be fun. Brad Rigney, yeah, exactly. Zealin, yeah. I mean, with that you need to practice your process. Break down your process. Break down your steps you take and your understanding of light and so on. So that, for example, take the sphere. This is going a bit over time. Come on. The sphere, right? And a square. Like, at the beginning, when rendering, let's say, a light source from that's shining down, at the beginning, you will struggle with, like, oh, where's the shadow? And you're searching and you're repainting and all these things, right? And then on this one, you go, oh, I don't know. But if you, when you create something, if you go, yeah, okay, so I researched what I needed to do. So first I need to block the shadow in. I don't need to add any complexity to the shadow, but I go through the scene and block the shadows in. Okay, yeah, those shadows read well. I can see how they should be like that, and so on and so on. And then you go, all right, and then the kind of basic light, what material is it? Or maybe it's stone, so then I need to do this and that to the surface. Then you go, okay, then I know. There's been zero visual searching to get to that result, right? It's been you going through the checklist, nailing what needs to be nailed through knowledge, not through visual exploration. And that's where a lot of beginners struggle, is that they don't understand really what they're doing, process and subject. So that's why you should always practice the fundamentals, like thumbnailing, basic lighting, basic materials, composition, so that when you do have to put it all together, you can lean on that knowledge a lot more. But then if you're also not aware of your process, you'll stumble a lot. You need to search visually a lot more. You need to see it to know if it's right or wrong, rather than being able to go, okay, I need to do these steps to get it right. So that's a little bit, you need to practice your own process, what makes you you, and what you're happy in the process of creating. And sometimes, like, the mess of searching and painting and repainting can be the process, but you have to be aware of when it's okay to do it and when it works against you. Long rant. Yeah. So let's see who we can raid. Who should we raid? Let's switch that off. What's this person doing? Add go away. Come on. I don't want to see an ad when I want to see if we can rate the person. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Let's rate her. Is that the right name? It is. All right. Whoa. What on earth? Okay, that was interesting. All right, so as per usual, I'm gonna do the outro and then take us over. So join the raid, and I'll take care of it. Have a great day. Good night if you're that part of the world. Thank you very much for hanging out today, and for the rant about what I think of what you should and shouldn't do. It's just my opinion, but it's an educated opinion, I guess. Regardless, have a good one. See you guys tomorrow. Toodles.